My sweet and lovely Capricorns, this is your horoscope for November 2024. In November welcomes us with new moon. On 1st November, you have new moon in your house of dreams and future. It's an amazing one because it is happening with support of Saturn, planet of hard work, discipline, and responsibilities. Now, Saturn will send amazing supportive beams to that new moon on 1st November, meaning whatever you're gonna start around this day will stay with you forever, possibly for a long, long time. So, whatever you're gonna initiate, begin, it's amazing new moon to use exactly on 1st November, and it's happening in your future house. 11th house is all about our future, that picture that we visualize, our dreams, our plans. And also 11th house is like such an expansive house. It's a house of internet, social media. If that's your wish, go for it. With this new moon is telling you, like universe is telling you to actually go for your dreams. If it's also related to internet, becoming creator or influencer, or like a journalist, go public sort of thing happening here. Message of the new moon. Now, 11th house is also a house of friendships. You might make a new friend around this new moon, and that friend probably will stay in your life for a long, long time. Your friendship bond, is set to last forever almost because Saturn is the planet of age and loves solid grounds. It lays solid grounds of whatever it touches. And, Saturn will give you this kind of a power to start from the right foot. Let's say start from the right actions, right decisions, and it will make the base of whatever plan you have there a very solid one. Now, Saturn will be in your third house, and it seems like third house is all things about deals, assigning contracts, communication, whatever you will be communicating or even signing agreements. That agreement will be unshakable, my dear Capricorns, for you guys. So it's amazing one too. If you have some collaborations, also offer of collaboration on media, social media, Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, whatever is there, that collaboration will blossom from this new moon, and it might actually bring you results already by the full moon, or if it's a long-term agreement, that it might give you results only May next year, because there we have full moon in your 11th house, which will signify that your wish came actually true, that you started now, like those plans. 11th house is also all about new clubs, new social groups, those bigger groups that we are part of, and friendship groups. It might suggest that you will, for example, you will start going to gym or going to chess club or, I don't know, acting club. Those things, like, it seems like you will become a part of such a bigger sort of group of interest, and that interest has the potential to stay with you, and that you will become a long-term member of that group. Now, those of you who are born by the end of December will be affected the most by this new moon, my dear Capricorns. For the most of the month, we have also two other planets arguing with each other, Pluto and Mars. But this aspect will be exact on 3rd November. So 3rd November is the day to avoid all things serious, like signing contracts or meeting someone special, and in love and in business. Because 3rd November is Sunday, I would suggest Monday also to skip, meaning to reschedule, postpone all those important things to 5th November. Now, Pluto and Mars will oppose each other for the most of part of November and even a couple of days December. Pluto will be in your first house. This is the last probably of opposition of Pluto from your first house in our lifetime, because Pluto is set to leave your sign in this November. November is such a power month. A lot of things are shifting here. A lot of, like, you might feel this energy shifting. Now, Pluto in your first house, Mars in your 7th house of other people. Now, these two planets are going out of those houses, and when planets, they go out of the houses and enter to another one, this is the time, so much of eventful time. Some things might be happening here, and opposition suggests that there is a relationship tension. If you are in a long-term relationship, here might be some tension between you and your better half, or between you and your spouse, like husband or wife. Or if it's not about love, it might be also business partnerships, because Mars is exactly in your partnerships, contractual agreements house. Those with who you have a bonding, let's say, contractual agreements, like your business partners, I don't know, shareholders. There might be some sort of a tension between you and those people. And seventh house is also enemies, those that we know face to face. You might have a confrontation, like on exactly around this date, like 3rd November. So take care, don't be harsh. Try to stay out of the conflict, but it will be super hard, I can suggest that, because Pluto is a planet of transformation, but it was giving you all those transformation lessons, self transformation lessons, how to handle your self-image, in a bigger society, because it was transiting your first house for the last 15 years. Now Mars is in your 7th house. Mars for the last 2 months were fueling your love house, contractual agreements house, and all this stuff. Like, it was giving you all those thoughts of marriage and in general long-term relationship perspective sort of things. But here, because they are opposing each other, there might be a person with whom you will have a sort of a conflict there. Now, but bunch of other planets will try to save this, mediate between these two, this tension. They will make it milder. So those are planets Neptune, Uranus, and Mercury. Now, they will be in those houses of communication and love, more milder houses. More, universe is trying to tell you to take things lighter. Don't take the things to the hardest point or to the darkest corner, from which you will there is a possibility you won't make it back, with this relationship. So try to take things lighter and more with love, let's say, to other person, to try to understand them, and communication will be the key. Of course, it will be foggy a bit, not understandable, but here Neptune will be exactly in your 3rd house of communication. Is trying to tell you, use more less harsher words if you will be in conflict with someone, let's say, or just in general try to understand other people's mind, let's say. Now, those 3 planets will try to save that tension between you and other people, and this is amazing. And as I said, it might be that you will need to show a little bit of love to other people and understanding. Now, November 4th will have biggest transit of this month. Mars is changing signs. It's moving into your 8th house for the next 2 months, and even more, even until next year summer, because Mars is set to retrograde in December. That's why do whatever related to your financial goals and plans this month in November, because December is not the month to do anything because Mars goes retrograde. Now, what means retrograde? It slows down. It's going backwards, like crawling backward. When planets retrograde, they are weak. They are, sleepy, let's say. They are not acting in a full force. There are less help there. So that's why, well, before Mars go retrograde in December, this month, November, starting from 4th November, when Mars moves into your 8th house, there will be the time, to actually act upon all those plans related to budget, related to alimony, or bank loans, for example, or any financial support if you're applying to some. If you're a student, then it's your scholarship. All those things, other people's or other like money that are coming to you from other people, or institutions like governmental institutions, financial institutions, whatever is that, like banks. Then those money about inheritance, also about insurance, all those things, try to make it exactly here in November, not to postpone it until December. If you do that, then it might have a chance that you will be stuck with those errands until Mars goes direct, which will happen only next year. Now, Mars in 8th house is also about conception. Now, if that is your topic, if you say there is nothing about money to deal with in my life right now, then it might be about conception for the next few months. When Mars will be in your 8th house, you might be giving thoughts to conception actually. And especially those of you who are trying to get pregnant, like on fertility journeys, then there will be like a couple of times when you might try, because Mars signifies all things sharp, including surgical knives. And it might suggest actually you will undergo some sort of IVF treatment, for example, or any other like possibilities, like non-traditional possibilities and surgical possibilities, in terms of conception, in terms of conceiving, in terms of getting pregnant. These topics will come forth in your life for some of you guys. Now, for some of you, it might be actually mental health, because 8th house is all about our health and healing, like most importantly magically healing, because 8th house is all about magic. It's all about mystical things, esoterics, psychology, our subconscious mind. All these things might actually come forth into your life, and you might be busy digging yourself. I would suggest here not to go harsh on yourself. Mars might give you this sort of a drive and, let's say, appetite to dig as much as possible within yourself, all your traumas and problems. But important thing here, not to overdo those things, because Mars in 8th house is very strong. Now, Mars here also about intimacy, because 8th house is a house of sex, your sex life, intimacy. Now, some of you guys might get quite active around this topic too. And it might give you actually colorful sex life, that part of your life, which will be on a positive note, right? Now, and also, as I said, it's 8th house because it's like other people's money house. It might be also about investments. You might be crazy about investing or thinking about investing, strategizing, especially when Mars goes retrograde in your 8th house, into any sort of financial instruments like coins, shares, bonds, whatever is that. You might be quite on that topic during Mars transiting your 8th house. November 11 is perfect day, because why? Venus, planet of love and beauty, moving into your sign right on time, because Venus is making you shine. We love Venus when it's in our 1st house, because when Venus is in our 1st house, we feel ourselves like we are $1 million baby, or like, we feel ourselves irresistible, very beautiful, attractive, and it actually makes us that way. The most important, it gives us confidence, in our beauty, in our attraction, and you will have the power to convince anyone into anything during this time, so use it if you need it. Now, after November 11, when Venus enters your 1st house, it will be the only planet to say bye-bye to Pluto, that was occupying your sign for the last 16 to 15 years, giving you hard and deeply emotional lessons about self-image, and how you portray actually who you are in a bigger society. And Venus will be the last planet to say bye to Pluto when it will go out from your sign, and it's happening in November. We will get to that point. Now, about Venus in the 1st house, let's come back to it. And, Venus in the 1st house makes us, as I said, attractive. You will be attracted to other people too, but most importantly, other people will be noticing you. And if you want, you can use this time for promoting yourself, like on social media or anywhere, like online, offline, and actually mingle jingle if you're single. Oh my dear Capricorns, I already made a rhyme here. Now, November 15 will be one of the biggest days of November, because we have two important transits happening on November 15. Saturn, planet of work and discipline, going direct. It was retrograding, moving backwards, slowed down since July. Since June 29th. So it's almost half year. It was sleeping, let's say. But now when it goes direct on 15th of November in your third house, all those things like paperwork, whatever, like errands that you need to sign some papers, submit, resubmit, reapply, those things might come forth finally. You will finally see the progress there. And if some papers were stuck, then those papers will come forth now. And you might get some messages about those documents to sign, messages to reply. Actually, you might get replies like to your own inquiries about some things what are happening in your life. And when Saturn in the third house goes direct too, you might start activating your communication skills within your inner group, because Saturn, whatever it touches, it makes it smaller. So Saturn is in your third house already a year and a half, and it still has a year and a half to go, meaning it probably made your inner circle smaller, meaning those people who you talk daily are now fewer. Like you can count them on your fingers. That's what Saturn does, it makes it a bit smaller so that you concentrate yourself and look on yourself. And in this case, it's your inner circle. Concentrate with whom you talk, what kind of thoughts you have, and what kind of talks you have around you too. Now those things, Saturn was giving you some lessons and still will continue. But when Saturn goes direct, all those things finally might move, and you might start meeting some new people, and those people might be wise and much older than you, for example, or someone who are like experienced a lot and might teach you a lot of things. Now, third house is also about siblings and relatives and neighbors. If there was some story stuck also or on pause related to your siblings' lives or relationship between you and them, then those things might also move forward finally. Third house is also some courses, like it's our courage house, bravery house. Now, third house, in astrology is where we brave to take up some new skills, to learn some new skills, and meaning like going to some courses, trainings. You might actually start doing so again, because that was on pause, it seems like. But now when Saturn moves direct, you might start going, especially if that's a driving lessons or like driving courses, you might resume those courses. Now, 15 November, another thing happening, we have full moon in your fifth house. Now, at 24 degrees, meaning those of you who are born on 13th of January will be affected the most. Full moons are all about conclusions to some situation which is already in your life. Now, that full moon will be an amazing one. It's a stellar one because it will conjunct Uranus. Now, there is an element of surprise to this full moon. You will never know. Actually, with Uranus, it's always like that. I might suggest you a lot of things, but still, Uranus is a planet of surprises and shock. But in this case, I can say that it will be, and I can even guarantee you that it will be a positive surprise. You will be pleased to this surprise to happen in your life. And it's happening in your fifth house. It's an amazing one because fifth house, it's a house of joy. It's a house how we enjoy our life, how we love our life, and how we love ourselves too. This is exactly this house, and business is here. And it's like because it's a surprise thing here, and Uranus naturally rules your financial house, it might be related to some of your finances. Like if you've been having a hobby, but now that hobby all of a sudden might bring you money, for example. Or if you've been doing just something as a side hustle, that hustle might start bringing more money than your main job, for example, too. Now, that full moon will be supported by two other planets, Neptune and Pluto. You see how Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they are all active at this full moon. And those planets are karmic planets. They are heavy planets, and they are more spiritual. So whatever events will be happening around this full moon will have this feature of fated. It's a destiny event sort of thing, but it's of course will be unexpected events, shockingly positive one. And fifth house is also about business. Because it's a full moon, actually you might end your business, but still that will be somehow happy news for you, especially that you might earn back some money from that business. Or it might be about children and kids, because house rules our children. Could be that you find out you're pregnant or actual giving birth on this date, around this date, November 15. And also, it's all about our hobbies and talents, our creativity side, especially those of you who are actors, singers, like all those dancers. And here it might indicate that those hobbies might bring a hefty money to you, my dear Capricorns. Now, November 19, we have the transit of a century happening, not even of this month, because Pluto finally changing sign. Pluto spending your sign for the last 16 to 15 years, as I said, transforming you. Now it's moving into your second house, and it will never be back in your first house in our lifetime, my dear Capricorns. That's how Pluto moves slow. I will make a whole separate video on this Pluto changing signs, so stay tuned on that, because that will be interesting and it's a huge topic. Briefly to say here, Pluto in your second house might give a big chunks of actually opportunities to earn, to upgrade your earning skills, to upgrade how you approach actually money, because Pluto in the second house, and second house is all about our income, our self-worth, self-value, how you love yourself, what is your self-esteem, on what level. That's how you earn. They are correlated, my dear Capricorns, and Pluto will teach you actually how to sell yourself to the higher price. And Pluto is a planet of big money. It's a lot of money, and it seems like you might in the next 20 years, because Pluto will spend next 20 years in your second house, might actually end up at the end of those 20 years as a CEO or a big like manager or boss, who are very influential, who are very powerful, and also famous, because Pluto in the second house will teach you exactly those lessons. November 26th, Mercury, we have retrograding in your 12th house. Mercury retrogrades 3 times per year, and this is the 3rd time. And Mercury is the planet of communication, signing contracts. When Mercury retrogrades, meaning slows down, it's never a good idea to do plastic surgeries, planned surgeries. Of course, if we have unplanned surgeries, then we do them because they are emergencies, right? But if you have planned ones, try to reschedule them, to do them after Mercury goes direct, because we need Mercury to be sharp in those things, especially plastic surgeries too, because 12th house is a house of surgeries here. And especially for you guys, I would suggest to reschedule if it's possible. Now, during Mercury retrograde is also not a good idea to buy any technical stuff that has chip in it, for example, or those beeping stuff in it, because they might come with some issues if you buy them during Mercury retrograde, or you might simply change your mind and not like it anymore or not need it anymore. And those things happen. All things mix up, especially with numbers, information, because Mercury rules commerce and trade, information, most importantly, ideas. So people might be hesitant, people might be forgetful. Also, they might mix up some things, and in general, you too. So whatever you're traveling, also because 12 house is a far lands, that's where Mercury retrograding in your chart. Double or triple check your travel plans and dates and destinations and all the stuff, my dear Capricorns. Now, this is your horoscope for November. Always check your rising sign and moon sign too. Most of the cases, our rising sign is more stronger. But for some people, it might be moon sign. So just check all 3 signs and compare which one actually affecting you the most right now, my dear Capricorns. Love you all. Bye-bye.